Okay, this is a video for the EN900. This is from a company called Senfer, something like that. Packaging is very simple. There is something moving around inside the box. Go ahead and open it. It's got a red dot on the box. Well, I could have opened it right there easily. So I guess these are maybe red. Take the plastic off. There we go. That over there. And it is push type, no. I guess I'm going to drag this out like this. No. Somebody was saying they wanted to see the unbox. Okay. Push the bottom. Pops out right there. And we have what looks a lot like the SimGot, I think was the name of those. I don't know if these screens are functional. I would imagine not based on the size, but I can't say for sure. SimGot is an interesting company because I actually, before I started to do budget reviews, I thought that I didn't know if those screens on the back of the SimGot were functional, because I like open back because it makes a bigger soundstage. And I contacted them on Facebook and I got no reply. Not even sorry or please contact, just nothing. So fuck that company, number one. I'm going to get that and listen to it now, probably in the next month or so. In a perfect world, these would sound better so that I can turn around and say, hey, SimGot, fuck you anyway. But that's for another day. This is the box. This looks a lot like the one that I just did, in the sense that it's got this pop-up. I don't know what was shaking around. I guess it might be. Okay, I can tell you one thing right now. I'm not a fan of this type of wire. And what I mean by this type of wire is it's got a pretty rubber-ish coating on it, which is something that some people like. I'm not really a big fan of it. Go ahead and get a closer view of this if I can. It's a removable cable. I can see the drivers inside. That looks like the dynamic actually fit right next to the stem in there. I believe this is removable cable. Well, that was pretty easy. Okay. So again, these cable, when FiO was doing the Dunu type rebrands, they had kind of this same cable. Now the cable that I showed you that came with the TNR, I like that one, the braided one. This, as you can see as I unfold it, this is always going to be a mess. You cannot do like this and neatly stack it, because once you let it go, it does like this. So these must be put back in the box. So I can say clearly one of the weak points of this, in my opinion, would be the cable. I don't like those cables. They look nice, and I'm going to go ahead and give a quick listen to them. So excuse me while I listen to these things. Put this here. Raise it up a little so the camera can see it better. And there we go. I do like red, so let me go ahead and pause this for a second and just give it a brief listen. Okay, before I listened, I noticed a couple things. One, I didn't really do a close-up of the nozzle. Looks like you can unscrew it. Maybe not. That looks to be metal over the plastic. Something else that I noticed when you look at it, like this, you see those red, there's ports there. You can see through it. So it's either design or there's actually some 1, 2, 3, one here, one here, one here. So I'll check that out further. I noticed that as I was looking at that I could actually see the background. Cover it up, block it up. Wonder if there are actually breathers behind this. This is kind of weighty too. It's got some meat to it. So this is a metal screen. It's not a shiny plastic one. It's metal. So hold on just a second. I'm going to switch the tips to large like I usually do. Okay, just brief listening. I'll do a video on these on their own. Treble dominant. These have a lot of treble. There's a lot of detail on it. I'm listening to a song right now that is very, very mid-centric. It's acoustic guitar and male vocals and very sensitive to any cavity in the mid-range, which would be America, Horse with No Name, which is playing right now. So there is a dip in the mid-region that is clear. The bass is good, but it's not as tight as the TRN or the TNR. I'm sorry, I'm going to get that correct sooner or later. I don't even know if to compare them. I got to say that the build quality of the IEMs themselves, you can see that these metal tips are, I mean, red is right, R, red, right, and then they got the blue at the top. So these are good. If I had not heard the T2s and the TRN, TNR, I'm sorry, man. I gotta figure out what that name is. Let me just call it the V80s. I would have thought that these are pretty good. These remind me of the God, what were those called? The A83s, FIDU, with a peak around 10K, which I like, but this sounds like the peak is a little earlier than that, like maybe 8.5. This is, I haven't seen any graphs, but just going from my ears, it sounds like the possibility for sibilance is definitely there, and therefore fatigue. The peak would seem to be similar to the F9 Pro. And bass is, I mean, you can see the bass position. The driver is right behind the nozzle, which is good, but it doesn't have the punch that the V80 has. So I guess these sound good. If people that are older get hearing loss, if you look at a age-related hearing loss graph, it's usually in the treble. Bass almost never is an issue for people that get older, but their ability to catch treble. So if you're an older person, let's say in your 50s, something with an emphasized treble is always kind of helpful. And I guess you can tone it down. So I'll do a review for these. First opinion, I don't like the cable. If you know, I'll always not like this. You look at it, it comes in this kind of shape. I think the cable that came with the V80, I think those are nice. They're well made. They pack up easily. They feel nice in the hand. Whereas this is really, is this important? Sure it is. This is a 2 or 3 years ago Chinese style. And the V80 is the newer. Like I said, those cables are the ones that the flagships were carrying about 3 years ago. The 64 Audio, I believe Noble had the same type of soft, wound, braided cable that they have now with the Chinese budget stuff. And this is what was coming with the FiO Dunu rebrands, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. It's a spider. It's a mess. So sound-wise, these would be treble emphasis, definitely. Mids are slightly recessed, at least. Don't really notice it unless I'm listening to for tracks that I listen to for mids. And it does sound a little bit in the back. And the bass is not as punchy as the V80, which I'm looking at right now as something to compare to. The bass is an issue for this, to be honest with you. It's got good bass, but if you like controlled, punchy bass, elevated, this probably wouldn't be the set for you. Somebody said review these because they like it, so I can see why somebody would like it, because it's got detail because of the treble, but the mid's got a, it sounds like it's got a dip. I'm listening to a song right now. That's not the song I was listening to. Get out. Close that. And then I want to go previous. Ah, fuck it. Here you go. Yeah, okay, it's the same thing. Fuck. Never mind. Anyway, this group is a 70s acoustic bluegrass kind of group, and the vocals are really, you can't hide it. If the IEMs or the headphones have a dip in the mids, you're going to hear it with a lot of the tracks on this album. I imagined that I was going to catch it, and I did. So 11 minutes in, I'll do another video for these. I think the build quality is really good. You know, the nozzles, they've got weight to it. These are obviously really metal and not plastic. At least part of it is. I think the cable kills it, and the treble is a little bit too. I like cable detail. I'm an EX1000 person, but this is maybe just a little bit above what is comfortable for me. Or it's in a frequency that is, I believe the V80 is 10K, which gives an air. It is, psychoacoustics is tricking your brain into thinking stuff, and 10K is an area where it will give you the sense of a wider stage. 8K won't do that, but it'll give you details, but at the expense of hi-hat sounding like splashes with the psss, which is a little bit unnatural for that instrument, which is in almost everything. So sibilance is something that would be an issue for these, or anybody that's got issues that are close to the 7.5 to 8.5 kilohertz region, which is me. These, I couldn't listen to these for maybe more than 2 or 3 songs. So that's almost a review, but I will give these a separate video. I'm not going to give the check mark next to these because they don't fit me personally. They're not bad. Build quality is good. They should switch the cable. That's my feedback to the company. You put all this work into what is a stout, weighty, with a nice stem on it, with the edge on it. Everything's good to go, and it's got this rubber cable on it. Future versions of something like this, I guess, maybe tone down the treble a bit, because if there's something in the stem, it's going to be, you're not going to miss it. So tune it down maybe a little bit. Just my opinion. Not as well tuned as the V80. And this is the EN900, I believe is the name of it. Yeah, EN900 Hi-Fi SFR. And I'm out. That's it for today. If you're old and you like treble because you got a hearing loss issue, which is human, everybody gets older, they lose their hearing, and it's mostly in the treble. These might be something that wouldn't bother you. Me personally, a little bit too much treble for me. And the mids, because of the treble elevation, whatever is before that, which is the mids, you're going to notice the dip more because they're relative to one another. Frequency graph that's more like this with not so much treble and maybe scoop mids, you're not going to notice so much because it's the comparison audibly. Something like this is, you're going to hear it more because this is emphasized and this sounds de-emphasized because of this treble elevation, which is what this sounds like. Whereas something that's got a little bit lower treble with the same scoop, you're not going to notice it quite as much unless you're listening for it. So slightly fatiguing, cable needs work. Otherwise, not a bad set. Personally, not my type because it's got a little bit too much treble and the bass isn't as controlled as I would like it to be. I want the bass to hit hard and fast and then get out of the way so my mids can come in good. That's not really what's going on with this set at this point. So that's it. That's like 5 minutes too long. Sorry. And that's it. That's really it. That's it. I'm out. Goodbye. Done.